John Coleman.
Hi there. I was asked a question, how does a product manager differ from a Scrum Master? And it's a bit of a loaded question because it's kind of mixing two paradigms there. You've got product management mixed in with Scrum, which is fine. I mean, in some situations, that's what you'll be doing. You'll be mixing the two of those. So I'm going to talk about those today. First of all, though, if I just take a little Scrum perspective on this, if you have one product, you would have one product owner, and you would have one product backlog. Maybe on another episode, we'll talk about some of the misperceptions about this, where people have product owners in every team and so on, but that's not Scrum really. One product owner, one product backlog. And in a really good Scrum team, the product owner would be delegating a lot of the product backlog management activities to the developers. So that's the first thing, okay? Also, in the product management world, my understanding is that if there was to be a product manager and it was only one team, the product manager, product owner might be the same person. Might be. But when you have multiple teams in the same product, I like the way Joshua Pertogi put this. The product owner would own the product in a similar way to the product leader would own the product. But there could be product managers then in the teams, interspersed in the teams. So sometimes the product manager is one of the developers in the team from a Scrum perspective, along with a designer and a technical person and lots of other people who do the work. But let's just talk about these individual accountabilities. I still get caught from time to time saying it's these are roles and not accountabilities. But before I do that, just a little bit of a reminder about why we're doing this. So the cause here is Agile with Ukraine. And there's a website, agilewithukraine.com. There were a lot of interesting speakers last week, and there's more speakers this week, I believe. And they're raising money for life-saving equipment for humanitarian help and medical help. So if you're benefiting from watching this live or recorded, and you like the cause, we'd be obliged if you'd make a donation, because it's a very good cause. Okay, all right. So let's go back to the question then, and what we might do as well is zone in on the Scrum accountabilities just to get us going. Okay, because even in product management, Scrum would be quite common. Kanban would be a common approach as well. So let's have a look at what's involved in each of these accountabilities. Okay, so if I look first of all at maybe the developers, they'd probably be worried about the what. What are we doing? What are we doing towards the why, if you like? The product owner would be worried about the why. And you could argue that there's a bit of overlap, that the product owner and the developers work together to select the what, to deliver the why kind of thing. But definitely the how would be, how you do the work would be in the hands of the developers. And the developers would be worried to that extent for quality. So in Scrum, we've got a definition of done. I don't want to say the checklist for how we do things around here. I used to say that until very recently, but it is kind of a checklist, but if there's good trust there, it won't be so process detailed and have loads and loads of items. Hopefully less than 7 items on that list. We did an episode on that last week. And so they actually do the work itself, actually building the item. And I would say I was at a class at the weekend that I received. I liked what they said. I said, think it, which could include discovery. They build it, and they deliver it. Okay. And if they eat their own dog food or drink their own champagne, they probably support it as well. Okay. In there, hopefully you'll have a designer, UX designer, researcher. UI is not UX; they're quite different. So there'll be lots of discovery going on. And hopefully these developers will be using what I call a discover to deliver approach. They won't be just delivering. They'll be doing lots of discovery. And based on their discovery, then they need to decide whether they need to deliver something. So then let's have a look at the product owner. So the product owner, she would be involved with the vision, but even before that, I was talking to Indy Young there a few weeks ago, and I quite liked what she said. I think there needs to be an understanding of the problem space. And the Scrum people don't say this, but I think before you jump into fixing problems, you need to figure out that you're fixing the right problem, kind of thing, or that you're tapping into the right opportunity. And on the back of that, I guess they'd probably create some kind of a vision, something kind of far out. You don't have to have a vision in Scrum, but certainly the product management people would expect you to have some kind of a vision. And on the back of the vision, they'd probably create a product goal. Product goal is a bit more tangible than the vision, and it gives us something that we can all kind of have a rallying cry around, if you like. Just put a bit more light on the subject here. And in addition to that, they would manage expectations. So that annoying question, when will it be done? They deal with that, and we have a more nuanced way of dealing with that these days, which I might talk about in another episode. They also speak the lingo as well of the different departments in the organization. So it's not good enough that you're good. It's you need to be perceived to be good. And do you understand? Do you use the financial terminology when you're speaking to finance, for example? And are you open to the legal terminology when you're talking to the legal folks and so on? They would also scout for unmet needs. Unmet need is what it says in the tin. Someone wants something to be done. Hi, Pravis, just give you a wave there. And maybe there's something that someone needs and it's not being served. Airbnb was an example of that, I believe, the job that needed to be done, and Uber as well. And from an evidence-based management point of view, I would say that the product owner is very concerned about current value. Are we milking the current cow well enough? The metaphorical cow or current product. Sorry, I said current goal, current value, I should have said there. Current value, are we milking the cow that we already have? And also unrealized value, which is very close to unmet needs. So the potential market could be a new product, or it could be some potential within our current product. So that's unrealized value. And so you want to be careful as a product owner that you're not over milking the cow, if you like, and then you realize your product is over the hill and you've got nowhere to go, kind of thing. that can be quite tricky. Okay. So then, in terms of interacting with customers, I would like to see the developers and the product owner connecting with customers. I don't like the idea of the product owner being the single point of contact and the proxy, if you like, and you might hear broken telephone in Europe and different way, where you pass the message from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, and the message kind of gets lost. But also they would be observing the customers as well. Because I love what Rich Hunthausen says. He's about the sprint review. He said in Scrum, he says the sprint review is where customers come to see what they asked for, but they don't want. So we need to really observe what they're really doing with the product and so on. In addition to that, we need to improve. But we all need to improve. A lot of people forget this, improving. And we need to learn. And we need to craft and hopefully deliver on the sprint goal. You all do that together. The entire Scrum team does that. And then in terms of the product owner and the Scrum Master together, I hope they're both trying to inspire the team. Shouldn't the team try to inspire itself? You probably should. If you're looking for someone to kind of look at, the product owner from the point of view of the product and the Scrum Master from the point of view of this new way of working and all that kind of stuff. But the Scrum Master would primarily be working with the organization, but for some political reasons, there might be sometimes it's sensible for the product owner to work the business side, if you like, if there is a business side. But both of them would be worried about the organization. They'd also be worried about governance. There's no point in delivering a product and then you find out you're not compliant. So that wouldn't be good. Okay. So then, apart from that, before we get into Scrum Master, I would say a good product owner would kill products. Because sometimes we're spreading ourselves a little bit too thinly, and maybe it's time to kind of move on, so to speak. If we look then at the Scrum Master, I hope the Scrum Master is listening. And I hope the Scrum Master is acting like a change agent. And there's a bit of overlap here with the product owner, but I'll just stick it here for now, the change agent. As in, there's other people not using Scrum or whatever, but we're explaining why we're working this way and, trying to negotiate ways of working with people who aren't using Scrum so that we can make progress. People we depend on, so on. And observing as well, of course, would be here as well. I probably should have put observe in both places. So maybe I just stick it in here again. And a lot of the time, a Scrum Master is observing and listening and actively doing nothing. Because I don't like to teach unless I've got permission to teach. I don't like to coach unless I've got permission to coach. And as Tom Meller said to me, John, don't ever give advice unless people are asking for it, but he was giving me advice when he told me that. There was a lot of merit. I quote about that quite a lot. So other things that you should listen, you should observe, but then after all that, if you have permission, maybe you give some advice, you do some mentoring, and maybe you do some coaching. I'm talking about professional coaching here. You're removing impediments. And you're also, I put a little asterisk on facilitator. You facilitate. My personal view here is it's not about facilitating the events. That would be a kind of a failure mode for me. If you see the Scrum Master facilitating sprint planning topic 1, I would hope the product owner is doing that. She knows what the business objective is for the sprint, or what she thinks it is. Topic 2, I hope the developers and the product owner can do that together, maybe with your support as the Scrum Master. I hope the developers look after topic 3. I hope the developers do their daily Scrum every day. It's their meeting. It's actually not a meeting, it's an event, their event. And I hope the product owner is inviting if it occurs on Instagram. I hope the product owner is inviting stakeholders to the sprint review. And it's kind of like I don't know, in my opinion, it's kind of like the product owner's gig, really. They might ask the developers to do some kind of a show, if you like, but we really want people to be interactive with the product. It's a really informal, it's an informal working event, if you like. And really the only gig that maybe the Scrum Master has is the retrospective, and even then you might get the team to just share that around, actually. So yeah, it's not a lot of facilitation to be done, but I would say maybe facilitating conflict, maybe, and maybe facilitating team effectiveness as well. So, but I'll put team effectiveness in here. So, but the team effectiveness really should be in the middle, I guess. It's because if the team isn't effective, the one person you can look at is the Scrum Master. That was a big change they made in the 2020 Scrum Guide. It's a little bit unfair because they might be at the mercy of what's going on in the organization. We need the organization to change as well. But remember, the Scrum Master shouldn't be a victim, really. They should be working at the organization level as well, trying to make things happen. And some people would say that the Scrum Master should be technical. And I would say that both the product owner and the Scrum Master should be very familiar with the business domain, and particularly the product owner. You don't see that many people looking for contractor type product owners because they don't really understand the business domain. But for a good Scrum Master as well, I would say if you don't understand the business domain, you're going to come across as being all preachy and not really understanding the work, and you could lose the dressing room, so to speak. And even if you're saying the right things, people won't believe you. You won't be credible. So it's really crucial. I spend a lot of time asking people. I do teaching myself, but I ask people to teach me as well. I'm kind of humble about it, saying I don't really know much about your domain. Can you teach me, and so on. So we've kind of gone around the houses there a little bit on the product owner, the developers, and the Scrum Master. One other thing I would say as well is the Scrum Master probably would be the person who might be suggesting some complementary practices. So different things you can do, like adding Lean UX, for example, for your discovery, or adding Kanban to improve your flow. So that Scrum Master might do that, but it could be anybody, actually. We want the team to really own their way of working. So the Scrum Master be more like a kind of a change agent, if you like, in that respect, not kind of pushing an approach to the team. So if there's one product owner or one product manager, that they're probably the same person in this case, if it's just one team. If you have more than one team, what we tend to see is there would be UX designer research. There would also maybe be a product manager in the team as well, and they might be looking at the analytics. They might be spending quite a bit of time every day looking at the analytics, where people are dropping out and things like that. Meeting customers as a developer, connecting with customers, observing, being very involved with the UX designer and the techies in terms of what should we try next, and so on. When you have more than one team, you might still have a product manager in here, and I don't position the product manager here as the same as the product owner in this case, because remember, in Scrum there's only one product owner. It's just a lot of people get this wrong, which we'll talk about in another episode, and they have a product owner per team. That is not Scrum as far as I'm concerned. And so really, I keep it quite simple here. If you got one team, one product owner, one product manager, the product manager is probably a bit more involved with the developers in terms of understanding what's going on and connecting with customers and so on. But if you've got more than one team, there'll probably be someone maybe called a product leader or something like that. And a product leader and an entrepreneurial product owner will be very similar. There's lots of overlap. There's some additional things that we need to go in here. Actually, I just realized there's one thing I forgot to put into product owner. The most important one of all, which is they need to maximize value, right? So maximize value. So what other things could a product leader do? Well, maybe we need to come up with the business model for this. So in the discovery piece, the team will be doing some experiments and they'll be trying to figure out, is there a product here or is there a feature here? Product leaders, we like more about, is there a business here actually? Can we make money out of this? And also, what's the strategy? What's the strategy as well to implement the vision over the, say, 1 to 3 years kind of thing? You'd expect a product owner to have very good knowledge, but particularly a product leader would be really, really clued in on the market, visiting lots of customers in different geographies and so on. And more involved as well in the product marketing side, I would say. Price points, all that kind of stuff, approach to market, positioning, all these kind of things. And there's something that Marty Kagan said to me that really struck me. He said, if you have product managers in his parlance, you have product managers and teams, and he talked about tech lead as well and a design lead working together. He said a product leader is only as good as her least performing product manager. So there'd be an aspect of performance coach here as well. So are these product managers, are they kind of, are they visiting customers? Are they speaking the lingo of the various functions? Are they connected? Are they connecting well with the designer? And in Marty Kagan's parlance, the tech lead, there's no tech lead in Scrum, but I think I know where he's going with this. And so the original question was, how does a product manager differ from a Scrum Master? I hope you can see now. The Scrum Master is really more about the effectiveness of the team, I would say. The product owner maximizing value. And I think, to be fair, the product leader might be doing a little bit more work as well on the problem space. So is it the right place to be? A good product owner would do that as well, but that was my own personal opinion. Maybe the product leader would be stronger in the problem space. Where should we be looking into? Really, what problems should we be looking into? And then they'd probably be very involved in the vision as well. I had the vision and product owner, but there's an overlap in here. You can see that this is inside the product leader space. And that's how I would differentiate. That's just my personal opinion. If anybody has any comments or questions, you can reach out to me on whichever social channel you're on. That's my nugget for today. Thank you very much.